Hey, it's Rich, the Louisiana Hobby Guy. And today I am in the laser lab and we are doing a cleaning video on the LaserMATIC Mark II. That's right there behind me. And I just cleaned it 2 or 3 days ago, but I've run a couple projects, the dream catchers that I've made, lots of little parts in there. So I'm going to do a complete cleaning on this, or at least I'm going to demonstrate what I do for complete cleaning. We're going to clean the lens, we're going to grease the rails, and that's it. Today's maintenance day for the LaserMATIC 30. So I figured that since I'm doing the maintenance, I may as well share it with you. If you're lucky enough to have a Mark II, you might get some good tips and tricks out of this video. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is slowly move this out of the way, all the way to the top right corner. And let me get rid of this jig that I made here. And I'm going to lift up and pull it out, just like that. So now we've got the honeycomb out, and the next thing that I'm going to do is vacuum out all the parts that are in there. Now I'll speed this up so you don't have to watch the whole thing. Just going to vacuum all these out.
Bourbon in my hand, all fish on the fire. It's a Louisiana Hobby Guy, never tie, got my laser engraver. Been making everything right, carving my name day and night.
And there we've got most of that out now. I will show you how to clean this workspace here. It is aluminum. What I use is a product called cactus juice. You can use any type of spray that's got alcohol in it. And I just go ahead and spray this around. And I prepare for this by getting a couple of, I'm running out of this bottle of juice. But I prepare for this by getting a couple of paper towels to wipe this mess up. And I'll usually give this a minute to soak in, but you don't necessarily have to. It wipes nice and clean on the first wipe. And be gentle with these drag chains. So I can usually get most of the dirt and debris in one pass using this cactus juice. And really all it is a low quantity mixture. I think it's 91% IPA. And so there, that's done. And then the next thing I'll do is get out my little kit for the LaserMATIC. And I'll get out, I believe it is this middle wrench here. Yep. So I'll get out the middle wrench and I'll pull the laser up to the front. I guess I can't get it too far up to the front because you won't be able to see this, but I'll put pictures of the screws that I'm taking out here. And actually the first thing I'm going to do is carefully unplug this wire going to the laser module, and I'm going to pull out the air assist line. And that can take a little bit of pull right there. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking these screws out. So I'll put a picture on the screen. The bottom two screws are the first two I take out. And then from there I move to the top two screws. Take one out. And after that one is out, you got to hold the laser module now while you do this one. So first I'll crack that open, and let me lower this down some. Probably be able to see it better. So now it's moving, and all I'll do is take this one out while holding it in place. And then you'll see the entire laser module comes off. So it's these back two screws here. At this point, the first thing I'm going to do with the laser module. So I'm going to clean the fan. So cleaning the fan is rather simple. You just use a paintbrush and stick it in the hole just to brush off the dust and debris that's gotten in there from engraving. And I'll come back in a little while with another paper towel with the cactus juice and just do the top. None of that's really necessary. It's just a fan that we're looking to get at here now. And this is the best way to do it, so don't blow air through it or anything else. Just use your paintbrush like this and you'll see that it gets nice and clean on the inside. So now that we've got that done, I'm going to collect those screws so that they don't get lost just by using a magnet. And the next thing that we have to do is take this cover off. So this is just a matter of, again, 4 screws. So now this one, I tend to put, I don't know why I put it on so hard, but it's just the outer 4 screws. So that's one. And finally, number 4. So now this is the Mark II. On the Mark II, you just grab another magnet real quick, collect those screws. All right, so on the Mark II, all you do is, another screw right there. All you do is lift up on this. This all comes off in one piece. And there we go, we have access to the lens. Now for the lens cleaning, all I do here is clean the inside of that lens, and the way that I do that is with a Q-tip, a microfiber cloth, and some Purity lens cleaner. Now I can tell right now, if I unscrew this, that the lens is still clean. I cleaned it 2 days ago. So if I unscrew this and look at it through the light above, up above, I can see that it's not dirty at all. So I'm not gonna do this in this video. I'm just gonna put this back on. But if it was dirty, and most of the time it's going to be, then you just take a Q-tip, wrap this around the end of the Q-tip like that, spray it with your cleaner. If you're gonna use IPA, make sure it's 99%. Don't use anything less. And then I put the Q-tip in that hole. And then I just turn it back and forth. And then once that's done, I'll move the cloth so that the Q-tip is in another spot, stick it back in that hole, and turn it again. And that will ensure that the lens is perfectly clean. So that's step number 2. Now my lens is perfectly clean because I just cleaned it recently. When to clean it is another, make sure when you put this back on, don't lose that little silicone washer inside there. So that goes right back on. All the 4 screws go back in place.
Personalized and grand, every piece I create, a part of this land, with that laser burning, oh so bright, I met your bride, bringing joy and light, strumming on my fiddle, dancing.
And I didn't mention that on your air assist nozzle, you should also use the same cloth and the same cleaner. So that's it for the module. Module is done. Let's get this out of the way. First thing that I'm going to do is actually clean these rails. They look dirty, but they're not. That's just some grease from the last cleaning that I did on this. And this is part of the full cleaning. If you're going to do a complete cleaning on the machine, this is the way I usually start it. I'll just wipe these down first. They'll usually wipe clean because they have the grease on there from your last maintenance. I'm going to take some of my gator juice and I'm going to spray it onto another paper towel, and I'll just clean this off real quickly. Let me lower this down some more. So I'll clean off underneath here, around here, And this is a full monthly cleaning that I'm doing here. So I would do this about once a month. And as far as the lens cleaning, the part that we just got through, that, well, I only do that maybe once every 2 or 3 days. Well, depending on how much you use it is really the key here. So I use it a lot. I use it for lots of projects, for videos and live streams. So I tend to clean it more than anyone else. And this all looks fine, still has the old grease on it. And then we can clean the top a little bit. So again, this is all up to the amount of use that you have on the laser. So with that pretty much clean, I don't need to grease the screw there. And the rails do need some grease because I took it off with the alcohol. So I use dielectric grease on all my lasers, and it's really the only way to go. So you can use this cloth, just put a little bit on here, and then with the machine all the way down, I'll put it on the rail and just slide up and down on the rail like that on one side, slide up and down on the rail here on the other side, and then move it all the way up to the top. Now this does two things. It makes the movement easier and more precision, and it also protects the metal. There we go. If I were to grease this part over here, all I would do is wrap this around down here like that, and then move it down, and it will automatically grease both sides as you move it down. That's it for that. Now for the grease, what I do here is I take my cloth and I just put my fingernail in the slot along the top and wipe it from right to left. You can wipe it in any direction you want, doesn't really matter. And then I do the same thing on the front, wipe it like this, and now I see I didn't get enough out of here, so I'll do the slot again until I get it all out. And sometimes you just have to bunch it up a little bit, and there we go. So that's completely clean inside that slot there, or at least now it is. And then I wipe over this part, get all of the grease, or most of the grease, out, and then I do the same thing on the bottom, and I wipe out that bottom rail. Now we can slide this over and do the same on the right side. Hopefully it's still in the frame, in the picture. There we go, there's that one. Alright, so the rail is now nice and clean. And I always start from the right, slide this all the way to the right, and then I take another shot of grease and put it onto here. And I start with the slot. I'll put it in the slot like that on top, and then in the slot underneath, and also on the rail. And you can just slide this over slowly to the other side and spread that grease out on the right side in the same fashion. And there the rail is completely greased and ready to use. You can go back and forth 1 or 2 times just to make sure that it's fully greased. And the rest is really very basic, very simple. So we're done with this grease now. You're just going to repeat everything for the rest of the machine. I'm not going to take you through everything on this because it's just a matter of repeating. You would take a rag with some alcohol on it and go ahead and clean the top, and go ahead and clean the sides, and then take your air hose with some alcohol cleaner on it, wipe off your air hose. Most of this is really clean because I do this very often. And on these bottom rails, left and right side, those are covered pretty much. So you don't ever really have to worry about debris getting in there. Although once in a while, you will get something that's in there. And then basically just come back in with another alcohol cleaner and wipe all of the metal parts down, sides and front. And you're ready to reassemble, and we're pretty much done here. So I'll go ahead and put the laser module back on at this point. And the easiest thing to do here is to get your screws ready. Bring these back in. Get one screw. These arms that stick out here go right against the top like that. Then I just put one screw in just to get it lined up and ready for the bottom screws. And it really doesn't matter what order you do this in, because it is a precision fit, and if you get 2 of the screws in, all 4 of them are going to go in.
The BIOS rhythm got moving to the beat. Laser engraving, my passion and my pride. I'm living the Cajun life, letting it all collide.
So once we've got that done, the only things left to do is to replug this plug on the side like that and put our air hose back in place. And that's it. We're now ready to finish cleaning the glass, and you can use any glass cleaner on this acrylic. It works just fine. I cleaned all of the glass, and then in the back, the other fan is back there. So I basically do the same thing to the other fan. I just put the brush in there like that, and as it turns a little bit, you're getting the next blade. Makes it very easy to clean. There you go. That is about it. Just make sure that later you go over all of these, and be careful with the drag chains. The one on the right side is not going to move. This one over here is going to move. And now with this all the way in the back, the only thing left to do is to put our honeycomb back in place, which is easier said than done with the camera in the way. Oh, I have to move the laser up. So let me just move that up and out of the way so it doesn't get in the way. We'll put this back on here, set it to where it drops into the pins, which is right there. And there we go, perfectly square. Now for cleaning this honeycomb, I usually just pressure wash it. It makes it easy. See how nice and clean the rest of it is? I'll just pressure wash it. If you can't pressure wash it, you can spray it with Dawn Professional and then rinse it with the nozzle of your hose, your water hose. Let it sit for 15 or 20 minutes and rinse it off, and it'll come out nice and clean. So there you go, quick and easy. This whole process takes me somewhere in the area of 30 to 35 minutes, start to finish. And of course, I've been doing this for a while, so your first time may take a little bit longer, but it's worth it. And as far as frequency on this, I guess for the lens cleaning, you're probably looking at every 8 hours or so, every 8 to 10 hours, depending on the amount of smoke that you're producing. So if you're engraving, like, let's say, painted wood or something like that, then it would be down to about 3 or 4 hours of use because of all the smoke that it produces. Or if you're cutting certain types of woods, you'll see lots of smoke coming out everywhere. Then you're in that 3 to 4 hour range before you have to clean the lens. And that I do almost daily. So at the end of every day, I'll clean the lens. And at the end of every month, I'll do a deep cleaning like you saw in this video of all those parts. And I didn't do a complete deep cleaning today. I was just trying to get over to the parts that need to be cleaned. Typically, I'll clean every nook and cranny of the laser. So that's it. 30, 35 minutes, somewhere in that area, once a month, and about 8 to 10 minutes every few hours on the lens. So you should expect to be doing this if you're, let's say, making crafts 8 hours a day. At the end of every day, you should clean the lens. And if you're part-time, just use that as a good number, like 8 hours or so. Some people are going to not use up 8 hours in 2 weeks, and others are going to use it in 1 day. So my favorite practice is at the end of every day, I clean the lens. At the end of every month, I'll clean the entire machine. And I think it's been 3 days since I did a deep cleaning, the entire machine. That's why I went through this pretty quickly. Depending on your use will determine how much time intervals between cleaning. And I highly suggest at the end of every day you clean the lens. It only takes a few minutes and you won't ever have to replace the lens. That's the biggest issue that I see from users saying, oh, my laser has lost power, it's not cutting anymore. Well, if you took that lens, unscrewed that lens and looked at it up in the light, you'll see that there'll be like a little halo around the middle. And once you get that halo, it's all over. You need to change that lens. So keep your laser clean. You won't have to worry about your lens. And don't forget that all of the things that I mentioned in this video, there'll be links for down below in the description of the video. Amazon links. So I hope you enjoyed this deep cleaning of the LaserMATIC Mark II today. And I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Down in the bayou where the gators roam lived a hobby guy by the name of Rich Alone. He had a laser engraver like no one else could boast, burning patterns on wood from the southern coast. Rich was a Louisiana